it will.
I've also been handed a document which is headed Index, Evidence in Chief, Minister E.N. Mthethwa.
Indeed.
So we can work with that.
Indeed. Chair.
Minister his letters will be quadruple B.
Chair, quadruple C.
B for...
C for Charlie.
No.
C for Charlie.
B for...
Bravo.
Bravo.
No, Chair, it will be quadruple C.
Sorry? Quadruple C?
So
it is C.
It's Charlie.
I'm sorry, so C for Calypso.
So it's 4 C's.
4 C's. All right. Now, the first document I take it that you want to hand in is number 2 on your index. That's a supplementary statement of the Minister.
Indeed.
So that will be quadruple C1.
And Chair, what then follows would be the annexures to the statement. Yes. So perhaps those we could make them quadruple C 1.1, 1.2, because they're really...
That takes us
Sorry, Chair and Ms. Mkosi, I'm sorry to interrupt. I've just been told that the power has tripped in the overflow room, so there's no interpretation.
Well, I would imagine that
through.
It's not necessary for the moment to interpret the housekeeping and marking of documents. When we reach the end of that stage, the power has not untripped, we'll then have to adjourn for the necessary arrangements to be made. Thank you for
I apologise for the interruption.
So, so quadruple C point 8 will be the last of the series of
Indeed, Chair.
Annexures. Then you've got an email dated 11 March 2013. That I take to be quadruple C 2.
Indeed.
Then you've got a copy of a letter dated 8 April 2013. That will be quadruple C 3. Then you've got an email dated the 2nd of June from Advocate Madlanga, as he then was, to you. That's quadruple C4. Then we've got policy guidelines, policing of public protest. That's already an exhibit, I think.
Indeed.
Exhibit R.
That is all.
Then we've got an extract of the transcript. I don't think we have to make that an exhibit. It's part of our transcript, and you've identified it comes from day 70. It's pages 7442 to 7503. It's useful to have it in the bundle, but we don't have to mark it an exhibit. Then we have another extract, which is from day 101, to which the same applies. Then item 9 is a bundle of emails exchanged amongst leadership of Lonman. That's already in exhibit triple B4. The transcript of the meeting between the Provincial Commissioner, representative of Lonman, on the 14th, that's Tuesday the 14th, that's already in exhibit triple J192. The minutes of the special JOCA meeting on the 16th of August, double E, that's already in exhibit. The next one is item 12 in your bundle. That's a statement by Minister Shabangu. That we would make...
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Before we all go down the path of housekeeping, I don't know whether we have similar files prepared for us, or whether the expectation was that we should have done it from the notices that we
I'm marking the exhibits in the meanwhile. I hope that arrangements either have been or will be made soon to make copies of the bundles available to you and your colleagues.
For a question of good order, Mr. Chair, I thought that as you mark them, we should be doing the same.
Yeah. Chairperson, without interrupting you, Chair, we have endeavoured, our team has endeavoured to circulate this very document that we're working from. So we expected that the evidence leaders would have circulated it to all the parties. Now, to the extent...
let's ascertain from Ms. Pillay.
Chair, we have circulated the list of documents that will be used during examination in chief of the Minister.
Mr. Bez is concerned about copies of the documents. Have they been emailed to the parties already?
The copies of the documents were attachments to the supplementary statement. Those have been emailed to the parties, Chair.
No, we've now gone beyond the annexes which were attached to the supplementary statement. We're now dealing with other topics, other documents, as I understand it. Yes, Mr. Mthethwa.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. Maybe a shortcut would be, obviously, photocopying the documents might take time. If we could even be given the index so that we follow what the exercise you're doing now.
I'm told you've been given the index.
No, well, I
That's what
haven't.
Ms. Pillay said.
Well, no, I don't think that's what was being said. What was being said is that a list of documents was circulated. Whether that's identical to the index from which you are working now, so that we can follow, I think that would be a shortcut. Yeah.
Chair, to what Mr. Mthethwa is saying, we have circulated the index that we are working from, with the understanding that the evidence leaders will in turn circulate to the parties. Now, if our learned friends don't have it, we are in your hands. We're happy for the matter to stand down, so we make the necessary arrangements. But we took proactive steps to avoid this very eventuality.
Let's find out what
Chair,
Ms.
the
Pillay
index was circulated on Thursday.
was emailed on Thursday.
Was emailed on Thursday.
Yes, well, that's the answer then, Mr. Mthethwa. You people got them, emailed them already. You can just download them if you haven't done so already.
Okay, Chairperson, I'll check with my attorneys.
Carry on with the housekeeping.
Thank you, Chairperson.
I want to use the time economically as we can.
Chairperson, that takes us.
Sorry, we reached item 12 on your
Indeed.
bundle. That's a new statement by Minister Shabangu, and that will be quadruple C5. The remaining documents are either exhibits already or transcripts from the extracted transcripts from the evidence led before the Commission, so we don't have to mark them. So we've now marked all your statements that you document on which you wish to rely. Minister, would you please stand? Are you prepared to take the oath, or would you wish to affirm? Sorry? You want to affirm? Yes. Would you affirm that the evidence that you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please say, I so affirm.
I so affirm.
Yes, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Nkosi-Tom. What are your full names? Emmanuel Nkosi Nathi Mthethwa. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, Chair.
Yes, Ms. Nkosi-Thomas.
Chair, I'm informed that the interpretation issue and power challenge have since been sorted out. So we ready.
You may indeed proceed.
May it please you. Minister, good morning. I've greeted you before, but greet you again. It is common cause, Minister Mthethwa, that you were the Minister of Police during the time under review by this commission. By that I mean at the time of the happening of the tragedy in Marikana. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
At the moment, currently, you are, however, the Minister of Arts and Culture. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Since when was that so?
Since the 25th of May, 2014.
Very well. Now, in your capacity as the, let me just say that your evidence today pertains to your role as Minister of Police before you assumed your new incumbency. Now, please tell this commission, or before we do that, you have deposed to a witness statement. Do you recall that? Now, please turn to tab 1 of your file. Chairperson, I'm referring the Minister to the document that occurs in tab 1 of the file that's before you. That document...
It's exhibit triple F29.
Indeed.
Yes.
Is that your statement, Minister?
Yes, it is.
Please turn to the last page of the statement, page 6. The signature that occurs there, is that your signature? Do you confirm it as yours?
I do.
Now, subject to what you say in your supplementary statement, do you confirm the correctness of this statement?
Yes, I do confirm.
Thank you, Minister. Now, won't you please turn to the document now that occurs at tab 2? That would now be your supplementary statement. That document has since been entered as Exhibit quadruple C1. Do you confirm that that is your supplementary statement?
Yes, I confirm.
Duly signed by you at page 34 thereof?
Yes.
Now, Minister, this statement, perhaps let me just address the chairperson. Mr. Chairperson, for purposes of expediency, I propose to put leading questions here and there to the witness, just to expedite.
I'm sure you'll do it appropriately. Matters that might be controversial, you won't ask leading questions. Matters that aren't, you can ask leading questions to speed the matter on as quick as possible.
May it please you. Thank you. Now, Minister, your statement deals in essence with 4 topics. The first topic being your role as Minister of Police. Do you agree?
Yes.
And the second topic that your statement touches on relates to the policy that you determined in the discharge of your constitutional mandate, that being Exhibit R before this commission. Do you confirm that?
Yes, I confirm.
Thank you, Minister. And the third topic that your statement deals with, Minister, is certain allegations of undue influence. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm just talking about what your statement deals with. And
yes.
the last, so to speak, topic deals with another allegation, which some people have named maximum force, some have called fire with fire, and some have called political rhetoric that is allegedly causally connected to the happenings in Marikana during the period under review. Is that correct, Minister?
Yes.
Very well. Shall we now deal with these issues in turn? During your term of office as Minister of Police, how did you understand your role in relation to SABC?
Thank you, Chairperson. I was the Minister of Police, and as the Constitution says, Section 85(2), A2E of the Constitution, and 205, mainly as the political head of the South African Police Service, are responsible primarily with determining and formulating policy. Policy which would be guiding the police in their day-to-day work, will be guiding police in their operations. In other words, the framework of police action had to be initiated, determined, and signed off by myself.
Yes.
That, in essence, was my role.
Yes. Now, in the discharge of those functions, Minister, I'm now moving to the next topic, namely Exhibit R. Did you determine a policy that governs crowd management and gatherings and public protests?
Yes, I did.
Exhibit R, where is Exhibit R? At this stage, I'd like to refer you to Exhibit R, which is to be found at tab 6. Chairperson and Commissioners, tab 6 of the file. Minister, would that be the policy, that document called Policy and Guidelines, Policing of Public Protests, Gatherings and Major Events? Would that now be, thank you, would that now be the policy that you determined in the discharge of your constitutional mandate insofar as the public crowd management situations are concerned?
Yes, it is.
When was that policy determined or rather signed off by yourself?
I signed it off in August 2011.
Yes. And Minister, please tell this commission what mischief it is that this policy sought to cure or remediate, as it were.
Well, the environment of public protests and gatherings are governed by other acts of parliament, like the Gatherings Act. What we're seeking to do with this particular policy was to fill in whatever gaps are there in the body of legislation we have, mainly as a political direction of the government in office, ensuring that when such gatherings are presided over by the police, take into account the human rights culture, which is mainly what government policy is premised, ensuring that there are tools of trade, equipments, which would be responding accordingly to what is expected to police. For instance, the issue of other equipments other than firearms are mainly what we said should be happening, or we should have and secure, particularly in this particular area.
Now, your statement deals extensively, Minister, with the objectives of the policy, and that you will find at paragraph 29 of your statement. Please turn to paragraph 29 of your supplementary statement, Minister. May we please have that on screen?
It's page 10.
Page 10 of the witness statement, if that's at all feasible. But, Minister, there...
Sorry, is it page 10 or 29?
It's paragraph 29, page 10.
Oh, okay.
We have the wrong exhibit up at the moment. This is the new exhibit that was handed in this morning, quadruple C1, which is the supplementary statement of the Minister.
I see. So that wouldn't be on screen. Thanks, Chair, because it's a new exhibit.
Should be. If it hasn't been set up yet, then obviously they can't do it. But one hopes that they can, or will be able to do so soon. We can proceed in the meanwhile without it being on the screen.
No, I'm sure we can.
Unless it's going to be on the screen in a minute.
Well, Chairperson, we were able to proceed without
Yes,
it being put on screen. Thanks, Chair. Now, Minister, paragraph 29 of your supplementary statement sets out the objectives of the policy. 29.1 states that one such is the promotion of ideal crowd control and management capacity within the police in order to secure public trust and maintenance of safety during public gatherings. Do you confirm that, Minister?
Yes.
And do you confirm 29.2, 29.3, and 29.4 as well, those as being the objectives of the policy?
Yes.
Now, at paragraph 30, mention is made of the re-establishment and recapacitation of the public order police units. Is that one of the objectives of the policy?
Well, yes. In fact, that would be one of the main reasons why we had to look into this area, because at the time, public order policy unit had been dismantled as it was before. So we felt the need to re-establish it as a dedicated unit, because we'd noticed that public protest, industrial actions and so on were on the rise in our country, and we wanted to ensure that we have men and women who will be dedicated on this particular task.
Thanks, Minister. Now, having signed off on the policy, how did you ensure its implementation? In other words, yes, I'll just...
We, firstly, I signed it off and sent it to the National Commissioner at the time, General Pele, and asking him to ensure the implementation of the policy.
Now, Minister,
but over and above that,
yes,
get the Civilian Secretariat for Police to monitor the process as one of the oversight bodies within the police, to monitor the process of the implementation of the policy itself.
Is the policy, to your knowledge, being implemented?
Yes, the policy was, firstly, let me say that there are a number of things which had to be taken into account in the implementation of the policy. One was the fact that we were re-establishing the unit itself. And in establishing the unit, we had to look at the capacity of the unit, the personnel and the equipment, as I said earlier on, necessary for this particular task. So it wasn't something which was going to happen overnight. We understood that. But the point I was emphasizing that was that because we had one experience on public order policy, we had people who were, earlier on given other tasks. Now we're recalling some of those people. And because of that, people or members of SABS were then given the opportunity to implement those things which they were supposed to, and they were implementing it, because it's not a situation where we're starting from scratch. We had people who had personnel, and we had to intensify other things, including training and personnel.
Yes. Moving to the next one. Yes, and of course your statement deals elaborately with the sending the policy to the then Commissioner of Police, General Cele, and EN1 deals with that, which will now be Exhibit quadruple C 1.1. Do you confirm that this is the letter that you sent to the then National Commissioner
Yes.
with a request that the policy be immediately implemented?
Yes.
And that a costed plan, implementation plan, as regards time and money, as a financial cost, be sent to you?
Yes, sir.
And that as part of the implementation of Exhibit R, standing orders, national instructions, etc., should be reviewed accordingly for alignment?
Yes.
Yes. And if you turn the page 2 of EN1 is an acknowledgement of receipt, as it were, of the policy Exhibit R by the then Commissioner of Police. Is that correct, Minister?
Yes.
Now, and if you turn the page further, EN2, which is quadruple C 2. Minister, that is an implementation plan
Yes.
of Exhibit R.
It's quadruple C 1.2.
1.2.
Remember, all the annexes are 1.1, 1.2, etc.
Mandate future. Do you have it before you, Minister?
Yes, I do.
And it is dated 2013, February the 19th. Now, your policy, or rather your letter, was dated September 2011. Did any work happen in between your EN1, in other words, quadruple C 1.2, and 1.1 in relation to the implementation of the policy?
Yes, it happened. Firstly, this was the era where there was change of management of police, especially at the National Commissioner's level. But I had to engage the senior management of SABC, take them through on what we mean about what needs to happen, and get people, especially within SABC, because you have experts in the field of public order policing within SABC, engage them as well, interact with them to ensure that they understand what this is all about. Over and above that, I had to also engage the top 1,500 within SABC. That would be your national commissioner and a team of the national level, to be your provincial commissioners, your cluster commanders, your station commanders throughout the country, mainly to familiarize all of us with what is expected out of the policy itself. But from the point of view of the department, initiatives were taken to ensure that the process of meeting the obligation which I put on them is done, precisely from a point of view of ensuring that units are in place in different throughout the country of public order policing, but also their control at the national level links with them at a lower level. So those are the kind of activities which were happening even before February 2013.
Now, in the area of procurement of equipment, do you know if anything occurred in that regard before February 2013?
Well, it did, and I'm certain that the people would have seen some of the equipment. Firstly, some equipment were secured as we were preparing for 2010 FIFA World Cup, and beyond that, we continued with procuring it up until even last year, continuing to ensure that necessary equipment is procured. And that process continues even now.
Thank you, Minister. We're going to move now to another topic because the statement deals extensively with those issues.
May I just inquire how long it is that you envisaged that it would take for these guidelines and this policy to be actually put into operation, Mr. Minister?
Well, the whole of it, firstly, the guidelines and the implementation continues as we speak. There are things which would have to ensure that we meet their obligation. For instance, we should be comfortable that we have enough personnel on the ground as we envisage it. And that would be incremental based on the availability of resources, the budget, and so on. But it's a continuation, as I was saying earlier on. It's not like there's been no implementation. It's a continuation, but we're strengthening and emphasizing particularly the issue around the handling of these public gatherings in a particular way, which suits the handling of public gatherings.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move to the next topic, Minister, paragraph 44 of your statement, excuse me. Excuse me. Where's my water? Page 13. You state there that the total cost for the complete rolling out of the implementation plan is approximately 1 billion rand. Do you confirm that, Minister?
Yes, within the MTF period.
Medium-term expenditure framework.
Yes.
See. Very well. So shall we now move to the next topic, which some people have called dubbed toxic collusion. Some have called undue political influence. All manner of names have been used to describe this thesis and allegation, as it were. Please turn to page 16, Minister, of your second statement.
Page 16.
Paragraph are you referring to?
Paragraph 61.
61. Oh, you're moving on to alleged political influence. Before you do that, I'd like to ask a question. It appears from the policy document, which is Exhibit R, which you referred, that Section 17 of the South African Police Service Act, number 68 of 1995, provided that that a public order policing unit should be established. That was done. And then, as you yourself say in your supplementary statement, that was then done away with. These offices were closed down, and you had a situation that there were no longer dedicated public order policing units, which is effectively what you then set about reversing in the documents that you've referred to us. But the fact was, it's correct, is not, that the Police Service Act of 1995 provided in terms that there should be a public order policing unit. That was done, it was established, and then those offices were closed down, and that turned out to be an unsatisfactory policy decision, apart from the fact it was contrary to the provisions of the Act, and that's why you then set about reversing it. But what perhaps could give rise to concern is the fact that it took so long to implement what effectively amounted to a return to the statutory provision, the implementation of the statutory provision, that there should be a public order policing unit. Was it not something that required fairly prompt action? And the country couldn't really afford to have a situation where it was waiting for 18 months to go back to the public order policing unit system, which was provided for by the Act, and which it was apparent was required.
You know, if we go through the policy itself, we'll realize that at different intervals, there were something called restructuring of this particular area and putting it in different ways. At one point, we had what we called area and area commissioners. At other point, we did away with that. What we sought to do this time around was to find a way of centralizing public order policy at the national level so that anything which happens has this helicopter view of what is happening. In other words, at the end of the day, this had to be commanded at the national level, then leaving it at the provincial level because of the fact that if there are public protests, say in one area, and in that particular area, that province would not be able to deal with the situation. You need somebody who would say, who'd be in a position and say, from the other area, go and complement what is happening at that level. So it was more of an organization which would respond immediately to what was happening. And indeed, it started to happen. It didn't wait for 18 months. But what has not, been achieved even now are issues relating to your equipment, which continues to be an issue, continuously having, false multiplier, getting more members in this particular area. That practically for us, we have even extended, we extended the bounds and, interacted with even metro police officers, exactly for the point of force multiplier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Minister, is one understanding you correctly? Are you saying that what the policy sought to achieve post the restructuring was to create a specialized POP unit?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Further than that, isn't it? The Act in 1995 already provided that there had to be a specialized public order policing unit. That was done. That unit was set up. Later, that policy was reversed without amending the Act, so there were legal problems that we don't have to debate now. What you were doing, you were going back to what the section required, but with an extra component, which you've explained, and that it should be on a centralized national basis, so that you could deal with a serious problem, say, in one province, where the resources available in that province were not enough to deal with it, so you could then bring in resources from elsewhere. And that was the new principle you introduced of centralizing it. And I think that appears clearly from the documents you prepared. Is that were prepared and which you approved? Is that correct?
Yes, but you must also understand that whilst the Act prescribe on the units themselves, and whilst people had been trained even as early as 1995, effectively, the unit, as it was before the policy itself, they were now in provinces, in some instances, not conscious as units per se. We were reviving that there should be, people should know that there is a specialized unit. You'll go to province A, you would see a specialized unit, but at the end of the day, there has to be a clear command and control of those units at the national level.
Chairperson, I'm going to move now to the next topic.
Paragraph 61 on page
That's
16
right.
of the
Indeed.
new statement to the witness.
That's right. Thanks, Chair.
This is alleged undue political influence. That's the topic to,
That's indeed
as
so.
it's described in the statement.
That is indeed so. Minister, perhaps I should first of all ask you this. Did you or did you not bring undue political influence on the operational team on how they should conduct themselves during the period leading up to the tragedy and during the tragedy itself?
No, I did not, because that's not how I understand my mandate. Not only in this instance you are referring to, but generally.
Now, secondly...
I'm sorry, what puzzles me is the emphasis on the word undue. You say you didn't bring undue political influence to bear. Did you bring any political influence to bear at all?
No. The task of the minister is to ensure that policy is being implemented, and whatever is happening is done implementing the policy. So there would be no need for any pressure except the oversight over the police, where people are supposed to do the job and you ask them to do the job.
Now, Minister, now in relation to yourself now, did anybody, whoever they were you ever was pressure at any point whatsoever, ever brought to bear upon you to direct the affairs of SABC in a particular way?
No.
Now, you see, Minister, I'm going to take you to a series of email correspondence that has been entered as exhibits before this commission, and that's BB4. And that is to be found at tab 9 of the file that is before you. Do you have that before you, Minister?
Yes, I do.
At page 289, little a, you will see, Chair, I'm being distracted. My colleagues, perhaps if they could keep it soft with respect. Babu, and they're distracting me. At page 289, little a, If you look at the top of the page, please, Minister, you will see that the email was sent from Roger Philimo, and the recipients are mentioned there. Can you see that?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this. Were you party to this email correspondence?
Not at all.
I beg your pardon?
Not at all.
Was this correspondence ever forwarded to you at any stage during the Marikana tragedy unfolding?
No.
When did you learn about the existence of these email correspondence for the first time?
For the first time, I learned from the media these things.
This was after the tragedy on
Yes.
the 16th.
Yes.
In fact, it was during, I imagine, it was during the sitting of this commission where some of
Yes.
these emails were produced as exhibits, in fact, as Exhibit BBB4.
Correct.
Yes, and now, Minister, these email correspondence, I'll summarize them for you. They make 2 points in the main, it seems. Main points, as it were. They make a lot of points, but I'll focus on what we consider to be the main points that emerge from this series of email correspondence. The first point is that a cabinet meeting was to take place on the 15th of August 2012, at which you were to be in attendance, I think, and at which Minister Shabangu was to be in attendance. And in that meeting, Minister Shabangu would first brief the President about what was happening in Marikana and get you, as Minister of Police, to act in a pointed way. That's the one thing that emerged, one big thesis, or rather crux that emerge, theme that emerges from this. And the next one is about the characterization of what was happening in Marikana, that it had ceased to be just a labor unrest situation, and it had assumed the characterization of being a criminal act because people had lost their lives. Are you with me, Mr. Minister?
Mr. Mthethwa wants to say something. Yes, Mr. Mthethwa.
Yes, now I want to object to the framing of that question. It's incorrect. There's nowhere in the emails where it is said that it has ceased to be just a labor matter. Actually,
the reference is on page 289F of the exhibit. Where what was said was the terrible events that have unfolded cannot be described as a labor dispute.
Yeah.
They are plainly dastardly criminal, must be characterized as such. So that's, I think, because Thomas was endeavoring to summarize that.
No, Chairperson. Maybe to understand the point I'm making might be subtle, but it's important. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Mthethwa.
Yes.
My problem was that your learned friend added the word just.
Yes, that's my point.
Now, if you take the word just out,
then it's
you look at the paragraph that I read, the sentence I read, then there's no problem.
If you take that word off, Chairperson, there's no need for this debate.
I'm quite sure she's happy to withdraw the word. Is that correct?
Well, nothing tense on the word just, Chair. And I must just mention that I'm a second language speaker of this language, so I shouldn't be held to.
Well, you're doing very well. Don't
but nothing tense on the use of the word just.
Take the word just out, we can carry on.
And Chair, the reason why we approached the matter in this manner is we don't want to go email by email. We're just taking out the themes and we deal with them we try to be time sensitive.
Very sensibly, to save time, summarizing the emails, the main points of the emails, and the objection was to the use of the word just in your summary.
I withdraw
you
the
take
word
the word
just
out, we can carry on.
Very well. I will summarize again, just so that... So two themes emerge. The one is the cabinet issue, where a report was to be made to President and you were to be gotten to act in a pointed way. And of course, another one relates to the characterization of what was happening in Marikana at the time. Now, you deal with the...
Sorry, Chairperson, and I must apologize to Ms. Nkosi Thomas for interrupting, but it's just struck me that we need to stop something now, which is that there is a schedule of cell phone calls which is sensitive and is not for distribution, which has been turned into an exhibit, EN7, and which is now will be available to the media and may already have been released to the media if we don't stop it now. So Chair, can you just rule that EN7 is not a... EN7 to the Minister's statement should not be published further or circulated?
What I suggest we do is we withdraw it at the moment, and we can then perhaps at some stage in chambers discuss how we're going to handle that document, if at all, in a way which respects the sensitivity of some of the material contained in it. But let's withdraw it for the moment, and it's not to be regarded as before the Commission and cannot be published at all by anybody. I'm reminded we received an email last week to say that it was not for our consideration, it had been sent in error. So it's obviously been included in the bundle by error as well. Anyway, I think I've dealt with that by saying it's to be regarded as being removed, not before the Commission, may not be published, and we will, if it becomes necessary, discuss in chambers how we can deal with it, or some of the material in it that is relevant for our inquiry. Yes.
Maybe, Chair?
Yes, Minister?
I don't know whether I'm following what is happening now, but I need clarity. Is the suggestion that the records, telephone records, have been published to the media? Is that what is being said?
No, they have been turned into, they were erroneously turned into an exhibit. I'm saying that they should not be made an exhibit and that nobody, they should not be circulated. Once they're made an exhibit, they are notionally a public document and the press has access to them.
You're referring to EN7, which is...
EN7 and 8?
Well, we'll look at 8 in a minute, but certainly as far as 7 is concerned, this is a document which contains a list of mobile telephone calls that you made.
Yes.
8 is an extract. Okay. I haven't considered whether 8 is a document that should be before us, but we can talk about that in a minute. Okay. But certainly 7 shouldn't be, and it was sent to us apparently in error. We were told we didn't have to consider it. It's been included in the bundle by error, but I've now, I hope, dealt with that by, as it was metaphorically, striking it out of the bundle. It's not before us as an exhibit. And what, if anything, we'll do with it, the matter we'll discuss in chambers later. What is the situation in relation to 8?
Chair,
Triple C 8.
8 is a summary.
Triple C 1.
1.8.
That's a summary of calls. Is that also a sensitive document?
That's a summary of 7. So this is the document that the evidence leaders and our team agreed we will work from. But what we may have to do to take care of the sensitivities could be to obliterate the numbers, because that is something that has to be protected if the matter were to reach the press.
Yes, I see. So exhibit quadruple C 1.8 will also be at least provisionally withdrawn, removed from the file. It can subsequently be reinserted once sensitive material has been redacted out.
May it please you, Chair.
So that's clear then. Quadruple C 1.7 has been removed from the papers. It's not before the Commission. It may not be quoted, published at all, without my permission, which I'm not prepared to grant at the moment. Quadruple C 1.8 is in the same category. Same will apply to it. But what is envisaged is it will be reinserted at some stage in the future when sensitive material that's not relevant for the work of this Commission has been redacted out. That's clear. Does that deal with the situation, Mr. Chancellor?
May it please you, Chair. May I request a 5-minute adjournment just to clarify this aspect with the Minister, please? And
yes, of course. You can have we've taken adjournment now, and when you're ready, I don't want to give you a limit of 5 minutes. That may not be enough.
Mandate.
So when you're ready, please let me know and we'll come back.
We'll do so. Just to explain to Minister what is this about.
The Commission resumes. For the sake of good order, I want to repeat a ruling I gave earlier, and that is that no photographs are to be taken while the Commission is sitting. It's very disturbing and distracting if the cameras are clicking away in the background while one's trying to listen to the evidence. So that's a ruling I gave. And I would expect that to be observed, and if it's not, I shall have to do something about it. I'd also ask the photographers not to come into the well of the chamber. They're welcome to be in the chamber. They're welcome to take photographs when the Commission is not sitting, but please not in the well of the chamber, and please no photographs while the Commission is actually hearing evidence. You're still under oath, Minister? Mr. Nkosi Thomas? Sorry, I beg your pardon, you're still bound by your affirmation. And Mr. Nkosi Thomas, I understand the problem that you wanted to talk to the Minister about, you've now satisfactorily dealt with.
Chair. Thanks. Thanks, Ish. May I direct your attention, Minister, to page 289E of the BBB4 series, under tab 9.
Yes, someone.
Minister, you will see on the margin, on the left-hand side, the email that occurs at the bottom of the page. There's a 6. That's the 6th email I'm referring you to. Can you see that, Minister?
Yes.
Now, that email was written by Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, currently the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa. And it has a caption, a heading, reading security situation. Can you see that, Minister?
Yes.
And of course, in similar vein to the 1289A, it's common cause that it was written to certain officials within Lonmin. Now, this is what the email says. I'll just read it out for context and convenience. Dear all, this is the Deputy President writing.
The gentleman who was not then the Deputy President, he had no public office at the time. He was the director of Lonmin. And he's writing to colleagues in Lonmin at 2:58 p.m. on the afternoon of Wednesday, the 15th of August.
Thank you, Chairperson. So, subject to the correction, kind correction from the Chair, this was written by the current Deputy President, then a colleague, writing to his colleagues within Lonmin on the 15th August 2012 at 2:58 p.m., addressing the security situation. Mr. Ramaphosa reports to his colleagues as follows. Dear all, I've just had a discussion with Susan Shabangu in Cape Town. 1, she agrees that what we are going through is not a labor dispute, but a criminal act. She will correct her characterization of what we are experiencing. 2, she is going into cabinet and will brief the president as well and get the Minister of Police, Nathi Mthethwa, to act in a more pointed way. She'll be in Johannesburg by 5 p.m. and would be able to speak to Roger. Let us keep the pressure on them to act correctly. You've already told this commission that you are not party to this communication. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, on the 15th of August 2012, to your knowledge, was there a full cabinet meeting?
Well, there was no cabinet meeting on the 15th of August, but may I add also that I was also not in Cape Town on that day.
Where were you on the 15th?
On the 15th, I was. It was the last day of my work, my ministerial work in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, which had started 3 days earlier.
So what is one to understand you to be saying? That you did not attend any cabinet meeting on the 15th because there was no such a meeting?
No.
Yes. Now, did...
Further, he says, and he wasn't even in Cape Town. So
Indeed.
if there was a cabinet committee meeting of some kind, he wasn't at it because he was in KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes.
That's what you're saying, isn't it? Is that correct?
Yes, yes, Chair.
All right. Now, did anyone... Excuse me? Well, Mr. Chaskalson says to me that that is clear from the cell phone records, so I take it that this is a matter that's common cause.
I wasn't suggesting that you were leading and shouldn't lead. As you say, I take it it'll be an uncontroversial matter. You can ask leading questions on it. If there's you yourself will realize what's controversial, but if you and I disagree on the point, I'll let you know. But carry on for the moment.
Now, did anyone, to your knowledge, ever prevail upon you, Minister, on the 15th of August 2012 to act in a pointed way, whatever that means?
No. No.
Minister?
You dropped your voice. I'm not sure it was recorded. You shook your head and your lips indicated you were saying no, but I'm not sure it was picked up by the microphone.
No, I'm saying no.
Yeah, the difficulty is that there's a mechanical recording, so when you shake your hand, I'm afraid it doesn't record your answer. So it does help to say it, to vocalize the answer. Now, during the period now leading to the 15th, did anyone prevail upon you to act one way or the other, pointed way or whatever way?
No. Perhaps during that period, I've heard people who were contacting me concerned about what was happening in Marikana.
Yeah, please tell the Commission about it.
Well, they were expressing concern. Firstly, I spoke to the Deputy President now, Mr. Ramaphosa, who had called earlier, or who had left a message, and I then returned the call. He explained to me that the situation in Marikana is bad. I'm not quoting his exact word, but he says he's concerned because people are dying there, property is being damaged there, and as far as he can see, there are no police or adequate police on the ground. And a similar message had been left by Mr. Zogwana then, who's the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries now, expressing a similar sentiment.
Mr. Zikwana spoke to you, or left the message then, in his capacity as the President of NUM.
Of NUM, yes.
Now, can you perhaps tell us, when did you receive this communication, firstly from Mr. Zikwana, and secondly, when did you have this conversation with Mr. Ramaphosa, Can you give us the day, firstly? And thereafter, if you can remember, by referring to the records, tell us the times.
The date, I spoke to both of them immediately after the other, and it was on the 12th of August.
That was the Sunday.
It was the Sunday, yes.
In the afternoon or the evening?
In the
or morning?
afternoon, it was after 1800 hours.
Yes.
I may check exactly.
Oh, it's Sunday evening.
Sunday evening, yes. Yeah.
Yes, please proceed, Minister.
Well, as I said, they were expressing similar sentiment about the fact that they think that the major problem is that they don't see enough police on the ground.
Yes. And what did you do about that?
Well, I immediately contacted the province, the provincial commissioner of police in the province, firstly to ascertain the veracity of what I heard from the two gentlemen of damage to property, of lives lost, and you know, general violent situation, as it were, which the provincial commissioner confirmed that there is such a thing. Then I took time to want to understand what is it that the management of police is doing to deal with that kind of a situation,
Yes.
to curb it, as it were, that you prevent any damage. Well, the commissioner, the provincial commissioner, said to me that they are attending to the situation. They've interacted with the national office. There is going to be reinforcement of members on the ground so that they are able to deal with the situation, as it were, and ensure that the public order is maintained in that area.
Were you satisfied after that conversation that SABC was indeed handling the matter adequately?
Well, I was satisfied because I have been dealing with my officials at the time of SABC, and we have had situations where people would raise similar sentiments, and they would respond, whether it's this province or that province or even nationally. So I had no reason not to doubt what she was saying, but I also appreciated that the situation is volatile.
Now, Minister, in Exhibit Triple F29, which is your initial statement, paragraph 18, you don't have to go there, please. You deal with that issue at paragraphs 82 and 83 of the supplementary statement, page 23. Please, if you may turn. There you state that paragraph 18 of my first statement, I stated that having been elected to the situation in Marikana, I discussed the issue with the National Commissioner and was given the assurance that SABC was capable of handling the matter. You then continue to say, I confirm the above, but however wish to add something. Please tell the Commission in your own words, why is it that reference to the Provincial Commissioner did not occur, was not made in the first statement?
Well, it was an oversight. It was an oversight. When I made the first statement, in the normal workings within the portfolio, the immediate person I call if there's anything is National Commissioner. So at any time if you ask me, did you tell the police, it would be the National Commissioner. In this instance, I had these 2 calls, and after the second call, I immediately called the Provincial Commissioner, because the way the 2 gentlemen were narrating the situation on the ground was that right now, even more things can still happen. So I immediately called them. But the records of my telephone, when I looked at them, it struck me that indeed I spoke to the Provincial Commissioner.
Did it make any difference in your reaction who the callers were? In other words, would you have acted differently had you been called by Mr. Joso, saying that the situation in Marikana is deteriorating rapidly?
Whether it's Mr. Josop or Mr. Ramaphosa, to me it's the same. As the Minister of Police then, any person could pick up the phone and call me. I've had a lot of people who would call, some I don't even know, so it doesn't matter who would have called me.
Now, your statement, Minister, deals in detail with your further engagement with the National Commissioner as well as the Provincial Commissioner. Now, perhaps let's conclude this conversation about the Provincial Commissioner, your telephonic conversations with her. How many times in total did you speak to her during this period under review? The 9th, the 12th, leading up to the 16th at 4, which is the happening of the tragedy, the time of the happening of the tragedy.
Well, we spoke once with the National Commissioner. We spoke 3 times with the Provincial Commissioner.
Perhaps I should refresh your memory. Please, let me direct your attention to paragraph 81 of your statement, Minister. Which is, and that occurs at page 22 of the supplementary statement. Paragraph 81, there's a general denial of you ever bringing pressure of whatever sort to the operational team. And the first reason that you proffer in that regard is that during that period, you were on ministerial business in KwaZulu-Natal. Do you confirm that?
Yes, I do.
And as far as the National Commissioner is concerned, you mentioned that during the period under review, you spoke twice.
Yes, good correction.
Do you confirm that?
Yes, I must correct myself. We spoke twice, yeah?
Yes. And as far as the Provincial Commissioner is concerned, 81.3, you say you spoke thrice.
Yes.
And this accords with the telephone records that you have since submitted to this commission.
Yes.
Now, what was the general tenor of your communications, or your communication, as it were, with...
I wonder, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I wonder if it would be appropriate for us to take the first comfort break at this stage, and the witness can then give us the general tenor once we resume.
When we resume, may it please you,
We'll
Chair.
take a first comfort break for a quarter of an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean... I think that's what we did with the others. I saw that. This is DNA. Minister, adjourn. Question that I was to had 81.4, I beg your pardon, and the question having been 10 minutes for discussions. Firstly, with the commissioner.
Well, that identified us to ensure we address that which they have. Whether they were saying indeed correct that there are no police or inadequate police deployment, but also wanting to know about these things which have happened, the damage, the injury, so on, wanting to know what is that. That's the tenor of my interaction.
We will deal in general what was discussed, what passed between you to called at the time. Now, to how subs perhaps should manage what was unfolding in Marikana?
Well, that's the how part. You, as the minister, operationally, you have to carry your as into that terrain.
Minister, in your supplementary page, individual phone calls, is that correct? To do, Minister, with reference to the call CCC 1.8. Thank you, Commissioner Himraj.
Yes.
Now, 85.1 deals with the you've already that you made to the current deputy. I think that you've already testified about that, so you can simply confirm. If you there, please do so.
Satisfied with the legal team, which were the where and then finish then call gentlemen.
Now, 85.1.2. I just point out this that line 4, Mr. Chair, has records this call 189. In fact, that's a typo. It's a typographical error. 88 is may it please you. Now, do you of point? Thanks, Mish. Now, 85.1.2, here, Minister, you deal with the phone call that you made to Mr. Zokwana, the then president of National Union of Mine Workers, currently the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is a call that you say here lasted for 198 seconds. Is that correct, Minister?
Yes.
And this the gravity of the situation as it was unfolding now.
Yes.
And you then SABC handles appropriately. You do confirm that?
Yes, I do.
Now, 85.1, a few seconds later, you then call the provincial commissioner. Is that correct, Minister?
Yes.
330.
Yes.
You have testified before. You sought to confirm that was related given to you to that. Yes, and you've already mentioned that you were satisfied during that conversation that the police were actively seized with the matter.
Yes.
Is that right? Very well. Now, paragraph 85.1.20 that falls within your duties as Minister of Police at the time, and you mentioned that you would elect in if this holding you hadn't contacted the relevant heads of police to obtain an official account which would inform any strategic intervention. Would you like to elaborate on that, Minister?
Well, yes. I think any would expect that the Minister of Police, when such things are raised with him, it's in the Minister of Police to satisfy himself or herself that indeed what has been raised is, especially because this is about the issue of members of the jury. It was what I was expected to do, and I did it. Well, given a chance, I would do it again. There was such a chance because people can report something to your mandate, and then you don't raise that with people who are supposed to ensure that that happens.
When you mention, you use words there, in other words, you state, I did not contact I would have been derelict this way. Mentioning this, that part of why you contacted the heads of police was so as to obtain an account which would inform whether or not any indicated.
Yes.
What sort of intervention does Minister contemplate in this passage? I know not what happened on the day, but
well, and on but from the point of view of the province, it turned out way it did. After probing her, wanting to clarify myself and knowing that indeed doing something on that, I then took her word on that.
Given to you by these two gentlemen who called you on the 12th in the evening. What did they tell you exactly?
Well, they were saying that they are concerned about what is happening in the area, and particularly the Deputy President now, Mr. Ramaphosa, saying that he doesn't think that what is happening is pure industrial action in the true sense of it. Has criminality on it. Which thing, and violence, which the provincial commissioner spoke to me, I tended to understand where he was coming from, because industrial action, as you would understand it, is that the constant demonstrate and do all sorts of things unarmed. Protest action of people are lost. That's so I understood where.
Yes.
So the number of killed, the circumstances in which they'd been killed, and what damage there were to property. Were you actually told of the details?
Well, the two gentlemen said there are people who offend, but they had said that there are people who they and were injured, but they still were to confirm. Main thing is that they were emphasizing the gravity in that.
May I please page 20. .1 an estimate to the provincial commissioner, and subsequent that to about 2 hours later, you then provincial commissioner. What are the circumstances surrounding that phone call? 1836-10, 18th, that you will find paragraph 85.2.2. The took place 6:10 to the provincial commissioner.
So,
what were the circumstances surrounding? Why did you call, and what was discussed here?
well, it was one matter. It was one situation whether the situation is improving, or that deployment that has happened, and so on. It was mainly to keep track of what was happening on the ground, whether there is change or whether there is anything which need to be done.
Were you informed?
I was of were injured.
Were you informed of the action that SABC had embarked upon to deal with that situation?